What is it about a country quietly resting in the heart of Europe, without a coastline, without noise, without spectacle, that makes so many people arrive for just a few days and end up staying far longer than they ever planned? Hungary is not a place that overwhelms you at first glance. It doesn't try to impress. It doesn't promise a perfect vacation. It doesn't package itself into polished travel photos designed to be consumed quickly and forgotten just as fast. And because of that, Hungary is often misunderstood. Hungary is not a bright country. It is not a destination for rushed trips, checklist tourism, or those chasing instant excitement. Here, beauty isn't about where you go, it's about how you stay. It lives in slow footsteps across old bridges, in quiet morning cafes, and in the feeling that the city isn't pressuring you to spend money just to feel alive. And maybe that's why Hungary isn't for everyone. But if you're tired of places that are too loud, too fast, and all starting to feel the same, if you're searching for a different rhythm, slower, deeper, and more real, stay with me until the end of this video. Hungary from above. From a higher perspective, Hungary does not reveal itself as a bright or glamorous destination. There is no turquoise coastline to catch the eye, no endless resorts stretching toward the horizon. What you see instead is a quiet stretch of land in the heart of Central Europe, where nature and people exist in a slower, more restrained relationship. Rivers curve through cities like extended thoughts, and bridges do more than connect two sides. They hold the memory of time itself. Hungary has no access to the sea, and perhaps that is why it has never become a destination for mass tourism. There is no constant rush of people arriving and leaving in a matter of days. Life here is not accelerated to meet short-term expectations. Instead, the country turns inward. People observe more, speak less, and take the time to feel the space around them rather than perform for it. From above, that rhythm becomes unmistakable. The land feels solid and grounded. The rivers move slowly, as if refusing to hurry. The bridges stand as quiet reminders that some places are not meant to be passed through quickly, but paused upon. Hungary does not pull you into the world's speed. It quietly allows you to slow down and live at your own pace. 2. Budapest, two halves, two rhythms. Budapest is not a single unified city. It is formed by two contrasting halves facing each other across the Danube, like two ways of living coexisting within the same space. One side is Buda, the other is Pest. And to truly understand Budapest, you don't just look at it, you walk through the rhythm between them. Buda rises higher, quieter, and always seems to move one step slower than the rest of the city. Its sloping streets, older neighborhoods, and scattered green spaces create an atmosphere of reflection. People don't rush in Buda. Time here isn't pulled forward by schedules or urgency. It drifts gently, slow enough for you to hear the wind moving across the hills and to feel the city from within rather than pass through it. Across the river, Pest reveals an entirely different energy. Flatter, wider, and alive with motion. This is where everyday life unfolds, offices, cafes, shops, schools, and streets filled with constant movement. Pest isn't chaotic, but it never stands still. It is the side of the city where life happens hour by hour, day by day, in a way that feels grounded and real. What makes Budapest unique is how its people experience the city, not through the speed of cars, but through the rhythm of their steps. They walk, they wait for trams, they let the city carry them instead of racing through it. Public transportation here is more than a way to get around. It is the city's breathing system. Trams gliding along the river, aging yet precise metro lines beneath the streets together, they create a steady pulse that keeps Budapest moving at its own measured pace. 3. Work, income, and the reality of daily life. Life in Hungary, especially in Budapest, does not revolve around getting rich quickly or chasing the polished ideals of Western Europe. Income here is enough to live with dignity and stability, but rarely enough to create a sense of abundance. Budapest is not Paris, and it is not Berlin, and the people here seem to understand that very clearly. Young Hungarians work hard. They take their jobs seriously, arrive on time, do what is expected of them, and then go home. But they do not show off. Success is not measured through cars, watches, or carefully staged images on social media. There is far less pressure to look wealthy. Instead, the goal is to live well, live steadily, and avoid the constant anxiety of wondering what tomorrow will bring. Budapest offers opportunities, but it does not promise miracles. You can work in offices, cafes, services, or creative fields. You can move forward slowly, deliberately. But you are rarely pulled into an endless race. Life here draws a clear boundary. You do not need to be ahead of others to be considered enough. And perhaps that is what Hungary truly offers to those who choose to stay. Not a glamorous dream, not a polished illusion, but stability, a life that is neither too high nor too low, where you can stand firmly on your own feet without having to run endlessly just to keep up with the world. 4. The rhythm of Hungarian life. Mornings in Hungary begin in silence, not with car horns or rushed phone calls, but inside small cafes, opening early where a few wooden tables sit close to the windows. People order an espresso, unfold a printed newspaper, and sit still. No one rushes. No one competes for space. Morning is not about displaying energy. It's about easing into the day with clarity and intention. By midday, the city becomes more focused. Work is done with seriousness and order. There is little unnecessary chatter, few drawn-out meetings. Hungarians tend to work in quiet concentration. They value efficiency, but they do not allow work to consume their entire lives. When the workday ends, they stand up and leave without guilt, without explanation. Afternoons are when the pace visibly softens. Many people head to the thermal baths, warm, timeless spaces where bodies relax and time seems to dissolve. Others simply walk along the river through older streets without a destination, without urgency. In Hungary, walking is not exercise, it is reflection. This rhythm is neither hurried nor loud. Hungarians naturally respect personal space. They do not speak much, but what is said carries weight. They do not perform to be noticed. Few words, but depth. Few gestures, but meaning. And within that quiet, you begin to understand the true spirit of Hungary, a place that does not seek attention, yet stays with you long after you've arrived. 5. Hungarian women. Beauty without display. In Hungary, beauty is not something that needs to be emphasized or put on display. It doesn't live in attention-seeking gestures, nor is it measured by the gaze of others. Instead, it exists quietly in the way women stand, the way they walk, and the way they maintain a respectful distance from the world around them. Hungarian women often carry a distinct sense of calm. They don't rush to explain themselves or feel the need to prove their worth in every conversation. Self-respect shows itself in small choices, simple but appropriate clothing, direct yet unshowy speech, and the ability to make their own life decisions without waiting for outside approval. Independence here is not a slogan, but a way of living. Many Hungarian women manage their own work finances and personal space. They do not seek attention, nor do they require admiration. Their presence does not demand a spotlight. It is strong enough to exist without one. And for that reason, Hungary makes no promises about its women. No idealized visions, no colored-in stories. Just real people living slowly, living independently, and holding on to their dignity in a world that grows louder by the day. 6 evenings. Not everyone belongs here. When night falls, Budapest does not turn into a chaotic city. Warm lights stretch along the riverbanks, small bars open just enough, and the pace slows rather than accelerates. This is not a loud, flashy nightlife built for excess or spectacle. It is restrained, measured, and clearly defined. But that quiet does not mean complete safety. Budapest at night asks for awareness. There are streets best walked with friends where voices blend with light, and shared presence creates a sense of comfort. And there are places where walking alone late at night is better avoided, not because danger is lurking at every corner, but because the city was never designed to serve solitary steps at very late hours. Locals understand this balance. They do not exaggerate the risks, but they do not ignore them either. They choose the right timing, familiar routes, and know when it is time to head home. Budapest does not threaten you. It simply reminds you that not every rhythm belongs to everyone, and the night is part of that truth. 7. What defines Hungary? In Budapest, history is not kept behind fences or sealed behind glass. It exists within everyday life. The Parliament building stands along the Danube with its grand Gothic dome and intricate details not only as a national symbol, but as part of the daily landscape passed by on the way to work, to school, or during an evening walk. Across the river, the castle district rests quietly on higher ground, watching over the city like a silent witness to time. Cobblestone streets, ancient walls, and small squares do not shout their stories. They simply remain long enough for people to grow accustomed to history's presence and close enough that it never feels overwhelming. What makes Hungary unique is that its people do not live inside a museum. They are not guardians frozen in the past. They live alongside history, eating, working, talking, and building their lives in the shadow of centuries-old structures. History here does not stop life. It gives the present depth, reminding people of what came before without forcing them to live within it. That balance is what shapes Hungary's identity, a place where past and present coexist without competing, without spectacle. You don't come here just to see history. You come to live beside it naturally, quietly, and honestly. 8. Food and life around the table. Hungarian cuisine is not designed to impress through refinement or delicate presentation. It is not light, and it does not try to please every palate. The food here feels solid, bold, and direct, much like the character of the land itself. You don't eat just to taste. You eat to feel full, to feel warmth, and to remember. Paprika appears almost everywhere, not as a decorative spice, but as a marker of identity. Its aroma evokes home kitchens, slow-cooked meals, and familiarity rather than novelty. It doesn't need explanation. Hungarians understand it from an early age, as if it were a language passed down through flavor. More important than the dishes themselves is the moment shared around the table. Meals in Hungary are not squeezed between obligations. They are timed to pause. People sit longer, speak more slowly, and listen more carefully. There is no rush to clear the plates, no silent eating in a hurry. The table becomes a place of connection between family, friends, and even the quiet spaces between words. Here, food is not just nourishment. It is how Hungarians preserve closeness in a world that is steadily pulling people apart. 9. Hungary beyond Budapest. Step outside the capital, and Hungary reveals a different face, more modest, quieter, and largely unnoticed. Smaller cities offer no dramatic skylines, no constant flow of people, and no sense of needing to keep up with anything at all. Life here moves so slowly that it can feel like stepping back a few decades. In these places, the cost of living is lower, space feels more open, and time seems softer. But opportunities are fewer. Fewer jobs, fewer options, fewer fast paths upward. Many young people leave heading for Budapest or abroad. Those who stay accept a different reality, less ambition, but also far less pressure. And within that trade-off, some people find exactly what they were looking for. Peace. Not the kind advertised in brochures, but the kind that comes from not being pushed every day. No need to prove yourself. No constant comparison. Beyond Budapest, Hungary doesn't promise more, but it also doesn't demand that you become someone else. It simply allows you to live just enough and much more lightly. 10. Hungary and the choice to walk its own path. Hungary is not an extreme country, nor is it one that rushes to follow the loudest currents of the world. Instead, it tends to pause, observe, and then make its choices. Not always quickly, not always in ways that please everyone, but usually with intention. In the way Hungary operates, a familiar principle becomes clear: practicality comes before slogans. Decisions, whether economic, structural, or strategic, are weighed according to what serves the country's long-term stability. There is no need to mirror others to feel secure. No need to speak loudly to be heard. That mindset is reflected in everyday life as well. Hungarians are not quick to change simply because something is trending. They are not easily pulled by the crowd. They choose what fits even when that path is less popular. Independence here does not look like resistance. It feels more like a habit shaped quietly over generations. Because of that, Hungary does not try to prove itself to the world. It focuses on remaining grounded. In a time when everything seems to be pushed toward extremes, this approach may not stand out dramatically, but it creates a sense of steadiness, a quiet, enduring stability that reminds you that following the crowd is not always the only way forward. 11. The less beautiful side and the truths you should know. Hungary carries a sense of calm and depth, but it is not a perfect picture. In tourist-heavy areas, small scams still exist. Overpriced taxi rides, bars with unclear bills, or friendly invitations that quietly turn uncomfortable. They are not widespread enough to feel threatening, but they are common enough to remind you that awareness matters, especially when you are new. Move farther from the center, and the picture becomes more complex. Some rural regions and eastern areas continue to struggle with poverty, limited opportunities, and long-standing stagnation. Not everyone has the means to leave, and not every place offers the easy life often portrayed online. Hungary has silences that are very real, beautiful, but not gentle for everyone. For foreigners, loneliness can arrive sooner than expected. Hungarians are polite and respectful of personal boundaries, but they are not quick to open up. Relationships take time, often a great deal of it. You may live in a safe, orderly city and still feel on the outside if you're not patient enough to integrate. And then there is the language. Hungarian is difficult, very difficult. It shares little with most European languages, and that can turn simple tasks into challenges, from paperwork and healthcare to everyday conversations. Yet these difficulties serve as a quiet test of expectations. Hungary does not try to make things easy. It opens itself only to those willing to accept the truth that living here requires effort, but offers an experience that is genuine, unpolished, and real. Hungary is not for those who are always in a hurry. It is not for people who need bright lights to feel alive or places that must constantly impress to hold their attention. Here there is no fast rhythm to chase, no stage to perform on, and no glamorous promise for those who only pass through. But Hungary is well suited for those who want to slow down, for people who want to live with rhythm, a rhythm that isn't forced or rushed but steady enough to listen to yourself again. A place where you don't need to be ahead of anyone, don't need to prove anything, and can simply stand on your own feet and live each day as it comes. Hungary doesn't try to keep you. It simply opens a possibility that there are places in the world where life can feel lighter, deeper, and more at peace with time. If this journey through Hungary resonated with you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us continue sharing slow, honest stories about places that aren't meant to be rushed.